This is my last pre-playoffs video, kind of breaking down what I expect to see, and I chose the Cavs versus the Magic, watched all of their games in the regular season, and I walked away thinking never once did we get both teams fully healthy and with updated lineups in the same game. The closest scenario was their last game, but Donovan Mitchell didn't even play. Both teams were able to get a win on the road and at home, so that was pretty interesting to see. And although I didn't get updated lineups, at least we got to see how these teams kind of fit. These are two teams that enjoy a slower pace of play. Both teams are top 10 defenses. Even though post All-Star, the Cavs dropped to like 25th in defense, Mitchell played in 11 out of the 29 post All-Star games, so there's also that. And so I want to start with the first game they played. So this was back in December. Cavs take the win 121-111, and this was back when the Orlando Magic were starting Anthony Black and Goga Bitadze. We get Paolo, Franz, and Suggs, the standard three-man lineup. There's no Jonathan Isaac in this game, no Markelle Fultz, no Wendell Carter Jr., so really hard to really gauge what it's going to look like come playoff time. Cavs had Mitchell, Garland, Strus, Mobley, and Jarrett Allen. No Caris LeVert for this game. The first quarter was interesting to see how easily Mitchell kind of just maneuvers around and scores, right? 15 points in this first quarter, really getting where he wants. Strus gets his 9 points, just making contested threes. Magic just weren't able to match the offense, and they found themselves down 37-20. This was the 42-point Paolo game. Huge game for him. He scored basically 10 points a quarter. It was really necessary for keeping the Magic in this game. Suggs ends up getting hurt in the first quarter, tries to come back in, leaves again after re-injuring the ankle in the second quarter. Magic pretty much down all game. This wasn't a very competitive one, and any run the Magic went on, the Cavs just kind of matched it. Magic made a fourth quarter push with a Paolo 10-point quarter. Cole Anthony and Mo Wagner are consistently good in this season series, and that's going to be a common theme when going through all these games. So it just wasn't enough in the end. Franz Wagner had a really bad game. 3 for 16 from the field. He was 0 for 5 from 3. The only way he was really contributing was by getting to the free throw line, which is going to be something the Magic are really going to need to put those bigs in foul trouble. And he did have those 9 assists, which is something that maybe a lot of people don't know about Franz. Is a bit of a playmaker for the Magic. Does look for his teammates when he gets stopped in his tracks on his drives, and a lot of the things shooting wise in this matchup are what I feel like is going to be a big problem for the Magic. But Mitchell ends up getting 35, Garland 26 points, 9 assists. You get a 17-point game from Max Strus. Mobley gives you 16, and pretty much just Cavs going off on offense with the Magic just not able to match. Magic were able to get 68 points in the paint, which is very promising. The Magic were 2 for 23 from 3 in this game as a team, which makes this loss impressive because they only lost by 10. So that was very telling of what the Magic can really do despite being outmatched offensively. Game 2 was December 11th. Magic end up winning at Orlando 104-94. Now, they do play without Wendell Carter Jr. They don't have Markelle Fultz. The Cavs didn't have Mobley or Caris LeVert, so those are two big pieces. More importantly, Mobley. Lineup-wise for the Magic, Anthony Black, Jalen Suggs, Franz, Paolo, and Goga. For the Cavs, it's Garland, Mitchell, Strus, Dean Wade in place of Evan Mobley, and Jarrett Allen. Magic had way more urgency in this second game, pressuring the ball, fighting through screens, contesting shots. Paolo had a bad game with those 8 turnovers. Franz had another bad offensive game. The Cavs made some really tough shots. They missed some easy ones, but the Cavs took 43s in this game, and they shot 9 for 40. You get the familiar 1 for 9 from Strus that Heat fans know pretty well, right? Just a super hot and cold guy. Jarrett Allen gets his 4th foul to start the third quarter. He comes back at like the 4-minute mark, instantly gets subbed out, comes back in for the 4th quarter and fouls out, I think, around the 9-minute mark. He ended up missing the whole 4th quarter. So a lot of things went the Magic's way, but a lot of that was because of defense as well. So the Cavs really missing Mobley in this game, where the Magic get 56 points in the paint. That's going to be their strong suit, trying to get those bigs in foul trouble, getting to the rim, getting to the free throw line. But if you're looking to pick the Cavs, this is an interesting game to kind of feel a little more confident, because despite the awful shooting from the Cavs, they were still within 7 points with 3 minutes left in the game. But the Magic ended up sealing it, and even though the Magic won, it did feel like it helped the case for picking the Cavs in this series, because shooting 9 for 40 and you're missing Evan Mobley, it's just like worst case scenario, and you end up losing that game by only 10. Still a good win for the Orlando Magic nonetheless, because they did hit back. So that's definitely something that you do look for if you are thinking of picking the Orlando Magic in this series. Game 3 was a response by the Cavs. This is also known as the Sam Merrill game, where he goes 8 for 13 from 3. He had 26 points, all of which were 3-pointers. Had more points than Mitchell, who had 25 points, 13 assists. The injury list for the Magic in this game: no Jonathan Isaac, no Gary Harris, no Fultz. And then for the Cavs, also no Mobley and no Garland, but still no problem for the Cavs. So lineup for the Magic: they had Anthony Black, Jalen Suggs, Franz, Paolo, Wendell. The Cavs had Donovan Mitchell, Max Strus, and Okoro in place of Darius Garland, and then Dean Wade in there for Evan Mobley, and then they had Jared Allen at the 5. Cavs just went on an absolute tear in this game, 20 for 38 from 3. Magic just don't have the offense for a game like this, and once the Magic get into games where their opponents are just knocking down threes, it adds a lot more pressure to make the Magic feel like they have to match with threes of their own. And then when they don't start falling and they go away from their game of driving, it starts to just become this mountain that they have to climb, and it is demoralizing to kind of match with 2-pointers when your opposing team is knocking down contested threes, open threes, maybe late closeout threes. And yeah, that's pretty much how this game went. At some point, the defense is going to crack throughout a series, and offense has to be there, shooting specifically. And that's something that I really worry about with the Orlando Magic. Mo Wagner, 15 points on 4 of 8 from the field. He gets to the free throw line and makes those, but you get a bad Paolo game, which is very crucial to this matchup. You need Paolo to be at his best. You get a good Franz game, but he gets so disrespected. Seeing how the teams guard him, they hide their centers on Franz because of how bad of a shooter he is, and they just kind of dare him to shoot. So you'll see in some of these clips, they'll put Tristan Thompson on Franz Wagner and just kind of give him that space. He goes 2 for 5 from 3, which obviously is 40%. But when you look at the fact that a lot of those shots were open because he's going to be a late rotation guy for an opposing defense by design, you're getting good looks pretty often. So Franz is going to have to be ready for looks like this all series long, because if he's not making them pay, that's just going to be the game plan. The Cavs are also going to be really happy with Paolo just kind of opting for mid-range offense, which he has improved. But when you're comparing those type of looks over shots on Mobley, over shots on Jared Allen, it's going to be very difficult to win a series taking shots like those. And then we get to the last game. Magic win 116-109 at Cleveland. This is the February 22nd game, and I have it noted as the Magic bench game. One note on this Magic bench: they are a top bench in the league, underappreciated bench, underrated bench, whatever you want to call it. These guys don't get enough mention when people are talking about benches in the league. They're 4th in points, 4th in field goal percentage, they're 5th in free throw percentage, 4th in rebounds, 6th in assists, 4th in steals, 3rd in blocks. You get the point. This bench is just really good, and they could be the difference in this series. But in this game, no Donovan Mitchell. The Cavs are 12 and 15 without him. No Fultz, but this is basically as realistic of a playoff lineup as we can get from the Magic. And it's not really the Cavs without Donovan Mitchell. As much as I want to say that for this game, it would be dishonest of me to take this win away from Orlando, because this was at Cleveland in a game where the Cavs shoot 55% from the field, they're 45% from 3, and they take 26 free throws. Magic starters combined for just 53 points. Everyone ends up being a minus in this game. Their own bench outscored them. Their bench had 63 points, and they were all pluses. Also, to note in this game, Suggs missed the last 22 minutes because he injured his head. This was a game that really shows the resilience the Magic have, and it's the life that this team has that could really put fear in Cleveland's hearts if a game isn't going their way. The playoffs come down to getting stops, but also shot creation, experience, home court advantage helps. Didn't help Cleveland last year, but the Magic are young. They're hungry. They want the smoke. They're not going to be afraid. They're going to go at these Cleveland Cavaliers with everything they got, but they're young. Love Mo Wagner in this matchup. He definitely has proven that he should have a very good series, and I'm very interested to see what the Cavs are going to do about this more confident Jonathan Isaac, who is going to be an X factor. He's going to be a guy that with 58 games played, he's got his legs under him. He definitely looks much better. He's going to be a big problem. I don't know how they're going to plan to unleash him. We might see some minutes where he's on Donovan Mitchell, but Paolo's got to show up and be very aggressive. He's got to challenge Mobley, challenge Allen, try to get them in foul trouble to get those rotations swapped around. He's got to take care of the ball better because he's really been turning it over against these Cavs. Franz is going to be seeing guys go under on screens until he makes them pay, so he's got to be ready for that. Franz has really struggled in this matchup. 16 points, 39.3% from the field, 15.8% from three, and he's a minus 6.5. Cole Anthony, Mo Wagner, Joe Ingles, they've all been good in this matchup, and they're going to be key to keeping the Magic alive when they go through these droughts, because these guys are going to be coming off the bench and they're going to provide a very good spark and a much needed one. Suggs hasn't even had real playing time against the Cavs this season. He's played an average of 20 minutes, so I'm very interested in that as well, because he's obviously going to be the main guy kind of chasing Donovan Mitchell around these screens. I do question Donovan Mitchell's health. Gonna be really excited to see how much Suggs is gonna bother Mitchell. Gary Harris in the starting lineup has changed everything for this team as well. He's 43.2% from three post All-Star. That's gonna matter as well for spacing purposes. And just looking at it from the Cavs side, I picked the Cavs last year and I was dead wrong. I would be very surprised to watch them go out again in the first round. And if they do get knocked out by the Magic, the Garland-Mitchell backcourt is going to get broken up. You would think so, right? That choke factor scares me if I pick the Cavs. Mitchell's health questions also scare me, but the Cavs have the shooting. They also can defend, and they'll look better defensively against a Magic team that isn't a good offensive team either. The only thing I'm worried about if I'm Cleveland is the hard shot selection. These guys take really hard shots just way too often, and the streaky shooting. I'm worried about those two things, but these guys have a lot of ways to win a game. You have a lot of lineup flexibility. You can have Dean Wade somewhere in there mixed in for Evan Mobley or for Jared Allen, then you swing Mobley to the 5. They can have just all shooters around the court. They can play with a lot more size. There's just a lot of ways that the Cavs can win a game versus the Magic really only have one calling card, and that's defense, effort, out hustling you, turning defense into offense. Essentially, they're one of the best teams in points off of turnovers. And I just think a lot has to go right for the Magic to come out of this series. And I feel like even if the Cavs are okay, they should be good enough to squeeze by. So I would take the Cavs in 7 because I don't know what the health is with these guys. The Cavs have stumbled into these playoffs, so a lot of people are kind of down on the Cavs because of that. But I do think this is going to be the ultimate test to see, were the offseason moves good ones for the Cavs? Did they solve their problems? Because if they do lose this series, it's hard to believe this team is coming back next season.